everyone, it's Haley, and today I'm going to be filming for the third time my July wrap-up video.
Ziggy Eggs. They got one more problem with you, girl. Hey!
So currently I am reading The Statistical Probability of Love by Jennifer E. Smith, and sorry I can't say statistical. And I am also reading Asunder by Jodi Meadows. So these two books, I'm almost done this one, and I just started this one, but it's really short. So I'm hoping I'll be able to finish these today, and if I do, then that will bring my total of books read this month to 19, which is awesome. So part of the reason why I read so many books this month is Booktubeathon. So I'm just going to kind of show you guys quickly what I read during Booktubeathon. So during Booktubeathon, I read Once We Were by Kat Zhang, the second book in the Hybrid Chronicles, The Summer I Turned Pretty by Jenny Han, first book in this trilogy, Hollow City by Ransom Riggs, the second book in Miss Peregrine's trilogy, Anna Dressed in Blood, and Girl of Nightmares by Kendare Blake, the Anna Dressed in Blood duology, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone by J.K. Rowling, the first book in the Harry Potter series, and Sea of Monsters by Rick Riordan, the second book in the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series. So if you want to know more in depth about the books I read during Booktubeathon, I'll link my Booktubeathon wrap-up down below. And if you also want to see my Rainbow Bookshelf tour, I will link that down below because I redid my bookshelf and I filmed a tour for it, and it took me a really long time to edit that. I think I got Final Cut Pro, so I worked like really hard on the editing. I'm trying to make my editing better to make my videos kind of more appealing. So let me know if you guys like how I edit things now. I don't know, I'm just kind of playing around with it. But yeah, let's get into the other books I read this month. So this month I also listened to an audiobook, and that is Fallen by Lauren Kate. I just kind of wanted to listen to an audiobook, so I chose that one. And I've heard mixed things about that book. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. It's a story about a girl named Luce who goes to a reform school after an incident with a fire and her boyfriend dying. And then things start happening at this reform school, and it has to do with angels and stuff. And that's all I really have to say about it. This book was okay. I had 2 major issues with it. 1, it was really corny and predictable, and 2, there were way too many characters to keep up with. I could not keep them straight just because there were so many. And I don't know if that's because I listened to it on audiobook or not, but I did have a lot of trouble keeping track of all the characters. Also this month, I read a few library books. So first, I read the Saga graphic novels, volumes 1, 2, and 3. These are super hyped up on BookTube, and I'm really confused why. I don't know if it's just because I don't really, I'm not that huge of a sci-fi fan, but I found these really weird. They're definitely adult graphic novels. They're pretty graphic at times, and sexual. I don't know. Actually, I didn't even realize that on the cover she's breastfeeding. It's like, oh, that's a boob. But yeah, I did like the overall story of them. I think I gave them 3 stars. I just don't really get all the hype about them because I didn't think they were amazing. They are good stories though. Definitely if you're not an adult, don't read them though because they're really graphic. When it's a graphic novel, it means graphic. So these graphic novels are about kind of like a forbidden romance between 2 alien species that are warring with each other and have been for years and years. And these 2 people end up falling in love, and they have a baby, and then they become fugitives because everyone wants to capture them because they're fraternizing with the enemy. It's like treason, and yeah, that's basically what it's about. Also from the library, I read Beautiful Disaster by Jamie McGuire. I read this book because I was planning on reading the other 2, but then I found out that the 3rd one is about just 2 other characters in this novel, and the 2nd one is just this book told from Travis's point of view. So I don't think I'm going to read the rest of them, but nonetheless, this was an enjoyable read. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. So this is a new adult book, and it is about Abby Abernathy, who is your typical prim and proper girl, and she meets Travis Maddox, who is the tattooed, badass, like, player guy. That was a really bad description. But they become friends, and they make a bet on one of his fights, that if she loses, she has to stay at Travis's house for a month, and if he loses, he has to be abstinent for a month. So yeah, it just kind of goes from there. So I'm a sucker for adorable couples, and that's most of the reason why I really like this book. The one thing that kind of ruined it for me was some of the corniness. I was gonna give it like 4.5 stars or like 5, but then in the epilogue there's a part that I'm sure you'll know which part I'm talking about if you've read this, that just was absolutely way too corny for me. I couldn't do it, and that's what brought it down to 4. Also this month I read The Host by Stephanie Meyer. This book is actually stuck on my shelf because it's holding up the rest of the book, so I can't take it out. But this book I gave 3 out of 5 stars. I found it unnecessarily long. It just kind of dragged on and on. It's about Earth, and this alien species invades humans' bodies, and it's kind of experiencing the world like as humans. So that's the alien species job. Like, they go from planet to planet and they invade the species and they experience it as that species lives. So they chose to invade Earth because Earth is so violent and was kind of like falling apart. So this is like a peaceful species, so they thought that they could fix things. But it's about Wanda, who is the alien who invades Melanie Strider, the host's body, and Melanie Strider is resistant to it. So it's kind of the same idea as the Hybrid Chronicles by Kat Zhang. It's 2 souls in one body, and kind of like they're conflicting, and yeah, it's just kind of about that. So I think that was a pretty good description, and I'm sure you can understand from that what it's about. Next this month I also read The Lux by Anna Godberson. This is the first book in the Lux series, and this is about the top social class of New York. One of my favorite things about this book was the fact that you get so many different perspectives. You get the perspective of the family who is at the highest level of social class, also the perspective of another family at the highest level of social class, but they're struggling with money because their father died. And you also get the perspective of like a coachman and a maid. You get like every single perspective. There's like Diana, you get her perspective, which she is at she's at the highest social class, but she doesn't really want to be. She wants to live as she like pleases. So Diana was definitely my favorite character in this book. She loves books and she just wants to live an adventure, but the life she's living as like the high social class, it's not really allowing her to do so. So she gets excited when her family, after her father dies, falls into financial issues, because she just thinks it's so romantic and it's just like the great romance. And a lot of this book is about forbidden romance. There's like interclass love, and like just people are in love that can't be, and it's just kind of all of that. So yeah, I ended up giving this book 5 out of 5 stars. It's just really an awesome book. I love historical fiction, and this book was it was really interesting just because you got so many perspectives, and just I really love this book. I definitely recommend it for historical fiction. And people are not exaggerating when they say this is like Gossip Girl, but it takes place in like 1899. It really is like just like that. I'm wearing one earring. Also this month I read For, a Divergent collection by Veronica Roth. So this is a collection of 4 short stories about 4 from the Divergent trilogy, and this was an awesome book. So this has The Transfer, The Initiate, The Sun, The Traitor, and then there's a few scenes. First Jumper, Tris, Careful Tris, and You Look Good Tris. So the first 3 short stories, I think, they take place before Tris. So you get to see more about For as he was before, so many 4s, as he was prior, oh my god, prior to Tris. Her last name is Pryor. I'm really struggling for words. But yes, you get to see more about Four as he was before Triss, and you get to learn more about him as a character, and this really helped me to appreciate him more. Not that I didn't before. I mean, phew, dear God, I keep on saying Four and before, and gosh. But yeah, you get to see him through initiation, him choosing his faction and like his aptitude test and everything. It was just really interesting to learn about how he became the person he was in like the beginning of Divergent. Also this month I also read Winger by Andrew Smith. This book, I only got it because it was on Book Outlet and people have just been raving about it, and I didn't think I would like it. It honestly does not look like something that would appeal to me. I don't know, to me it looks like a boy book, which it is a boy book, but it's an amazing boy book. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. So this book is about the story of Ryan Dean West, who goes to a school. It's like it's a school for rich parents, like rich. It's a school for like rich delinquents, and he's actually he's the age of freshman, I believe, but he's a junior, and it's just kind of about his story. He ends up going to O Hall, which is, I don't know what O stands for. I don't know what O stands for, but he goes there and he's on the rugby team, and he ends up rooming with like the worst kid on that rugby team, and he's in love with his best friend Annie, and he makes a lot of friends through this like bad kid. And through living in O Hall, his life really changes. He makes a lot of new friends that he didn't think that he didn't expect he would have been friends with before, and can't really explain why you should read it. It's just a really good book, and even if like the cover doesn't really appeal to you, because it didn't to me, just read it. It's just a really incredible story, and I definitely recommend it. It's really touching, and it's heartbreaking, but it's also just, it's great. Just read it. Also this month I read Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. I'm waiting for Rune and Rising to come out in paperback, which means I can't finish the series for another year. But this book was awesome. I understand why people love it. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It's an incredible fantasy story. The main character, Alina Starkov, she's going through this, which is like the Unseer. It's also known as the Fold, and they get in trouble, and she ends up revealing a power that indicates that she's a Grisha. So then she is taken, and she ends up training with the Darkling, and things end up kind of getting all messed up, and she ends up having to be kind of the heroine that everyone in the story needs. It's just, I can't even do it justice explaining it. You just have to read it. It's such an incredible world that Leigh Bardugo builds. It's just, you're completely immersed in the story. I definitely recommend it. I also read Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare, which is the first book in the Infernal Devices trilogy. I read this because one of my lovely subscribers tipped me off and let me know that I should read this whole trilogy before I read, what is it, City of Lost Souls. So I started now because I also this month finished reading, one second, City of Glass by Cassandra Clare. So next I have City of Fallen Angels, and then I have City of Lost Souls. So I decided I should start this trilogy so then I have it out of the way and I can continue reading this one. So yeah, I read these two. So City of Glass I can't really tell you about. It's about Shadowhunters. I'm sure you know what the trilogy is about. Or not trilogy, it's not a trilogy anymore. I'm sure you know what this series is about. Since this is the 3rd book, I can't really explain it to you. I'm sorry. But this story is about, it's like a historical fiction but also fantasy, and that's why I loved it so much. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I think I enjoyed this one more than I enjoyed The Mortal Instruments. I'm sorry, but I just really loved Tessa and Will, and all the characters were just really lovable for me, and I'm annoyed by most of the characters in the Mortal Instruments, which makes it difficult. But yeah, so this book takes place in London. I want to say this takes place in the Victorian era. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, Tessa finds out that she's a downworlder, and then she's taken to the London Institute, and just she's looking for her brother, and just things happen from there.